welcome to the first ever episode of Off the Record with the Tacoma Ledger. Before you, our three hosts, please introduce yourselves.
I'm Jamenson, the editor-in-chief.
Hello, I'm Huzaifa. I'm the reporter here at the Ledger.
Hi, I'm Ray. I'm also a reporter for the Ledger.
And I'm Justin Bertelson. We got a great one for you today, the best one that we've done. Take it away, Jamenson.
All right, well, we're here to talk about a very controversial topic, I think, of our time, AI. Initial thoughts before we get into, cemented in our heart, whether for or against AI. What are the initial thoughts about AI?
For me, AI is a tool that we need to use in our day-to-day life, because I don't think so it's gonna go away. So we need to take most out of it. How we use a calculator in our daily life, to solve problem, we need to use it like that. So yeah, that's my take on it.
I think that agreeing with you in part that AI is not going away, but in the same way that people that weren't taught how to think critically with cell phones and with digital media struggle now thinking critically with cell phones and digital media, we need to be training ourselves through the process of AI and through a critical lens into art theft and ethics and the ethics of the creators of AI and the environmental impacts.
Yeah, I think those are all big topics, and we could take a deep dive into all of those things because they all impact our lives, sometimes directly and sometimes indirectly. Yeah. But I think as a whole, AI is still very brand new. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
I think it's still a brand new thought. I've heard arguments about when some sort of technology came out back in the day, it wasn't accepted either. But I think that the way AI is being sold to the public is what companies are trying to build a narrative around AI to sell it to people, because we all got to buy in on it. So I think that's one of the things that's what drives the controversy, I think, behind it, because it's there's no real awareness of what AI is. There's no real awareness of what it can do, what it shouldn't do, those types of things. And even legal parameters, there isn't none for the creative side of things. Why don't we, I think, dive into that part of it, the creative side, like you were saying. So there's no protection. I think as far as I know right now, studios themselves, with the Screen Actors or the Actors Guild and the Writers Guild and all that, I think they've made a contract or something, and have told them, we're not going to use AI stuff. We're not going to use your voices or your faces or your body, your image, whatever it is, right? To reproduce something. And I think Marvel Comics or DC Comics came out and said the same thing for their creators. But legally, either federally or the nation or whatever, there's nothing to protect creators. What do you guys have to say about that?
Yep. So that's totally true. The legal boundaries are not set. So I'm doing my major in cybersecurity, so there are no security boundaries to it as well at the moment. And there's a lot of legal things that we need to deal with. And my opinion on this is how we deal with legal things currently. It should be more focused on AI legal things as well. And there would be a point in the future where we would see law degrees, joining the AI stuff with it and making legal boundaries with it. And I think so. It's a new wave at the moment, and there's a lot of things that needs to be done in that legal things to go that way. And as you said, the creativity of it and how things are going with that, that's still we need to deal with. The human nature won't change, right? With the feelings and stuff that cannot be done by AI, that's the main difference between a computer and a human.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. It does not have feelings. And that's what I think is we need to double down on our human skills and put this AI as our tool to boost those skills. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree that AI is developing faster than than legal processes can keep up with it. Particularly, there's not a lot of artists that also practice law. There's not a lot of musicians or actors or actresses that also practice law because we're too busy making art. And so there's not a lot of people in those legal fields that have our best interests at heart, that know the hours and hours and hours that go into making a single piece of work, and how valuable those hours are, and how much each brushstroke is a piece of our soul. And so that is really scary and unsettling. But one of the things that really I see, especially in the acting communities, is concern about bodies and consent rules, where in acting, if you don't consent to a scene or to the use of your body or the use of your image, your studio can't film that, or they have to work around that. But if you have an AI actress, that person can neither give consent nor revoke consent. The people that create that entity can do whatever they want to that body because consent is not an issue. So then when you enable that, if you aren't able to block that because litigation or because legal processes to do so haven't been developed yet, you set a precedent for the image of a woman's body that can be controlled in any way that the creators of that piece desire. And that, I think, has the potential to be extremely damaging to society.
I've never really heard that point. That's very interesting, actually, for the creative side. Let's talk about it this way. What that brings to mind is, well, what if it is a person and they're filming a scene that isn't favorable toward women per se? Like someone's being aggressive with them in the scene. Is that more acceptable than an AI generated image of a woman's body being taken advantage of? You know what I mean? That's the first thing that popped into my mind with that point. But another thing is that when I went to Comic-Con, this past Comic-Con in Seattle, there was a panel of 3 comic book artists there and a few other people there that were artists from the industry. And they were saying the real protection that people have is the consumer. That's the way to attack this like new wave of technology of how it's trying to take over, especially with the legal side of it not being able to keep up with what's going on. It's the consumer. It's our money. We consume things. We're going to buy things that we like and that, you know, we adore, that we're fans of and stuff like that. So that's ultimately what's going to kind of halt a little bit on the creative side who we're choosing to give our money to. What do you think about that?
So basically, yeah, that's true. And like, you know, what I believe is like, there's a lot of, you know, fake videos being generated by AI, you know, that come into play, you know, and it's quite realistic as well, you know. They're you know, very much accurate, and you cannot like distinguish between the 2 images, right? And like it is creating a lot of confusion, and like we don't have any framework to, you know, deal with these things at the moment. So yeah, for me, like, so it should be more towards the assisting of thing instead of like replacing the people themselves, you know. That's my take.
The business side of it.
Yeah,
because I know you're a tech major.
yeah.
So what is it on the business side that you see that's different than on the creative side when it comes to AI?
So the business getting very productive in their environment because, like, you know, you don't need a lot of resources to start off. You know, previously the starters had to, you know, have specific domain knowledge people with them. You know, now AI can assist them in those areas. Even if I don't know much about some language, you know, that's my main pure area. So I think so, you know, if you ask me, you know, AI, the first thing that AI replaced was like coding element, you know. It targeted us the first, you know.
Okay, yeah.
Then it came to the other environments, right? But with that, you know, the benefit came towards like it empowered people more in our industry because, like, you know, now they don't need that much domain knowledge. Even a business major, if he has an idea, you know, he does not need to know the language itself, but he can build something out of it using AI. So, you know, that's really productive, you know.
Is that not like creative part of it though? Because coding, I mean, coding has its creativity to it,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, isn't that, again, I think it's kind of this in the same ballpark where it's like we're all not wrong to be aware of like this like fear of being replaced or something like that.
I mean, for me, yes, the current jobs that we, you know, are dealing with right now, yeah, they would change, you know. That's the major shift that's happening,
Yeah.
you know. But with that, what I think is like, you have more opportunity where you can, be in a shoe where you can, start your own business. If you have an idea, you can build it on top of it. So there are new ways of thinking. So that things should be like actually boosted into the people now. I think that we need to, look forward to, the current job roles are changing. That's why, you see a lot of tech layout at the moment. Amazon did 14,000 employees right now, right? So
that's recent too.
Yeah, that's a recent thing. But the thing is, now they are saying like we are hiring people that are much more towards the AI kind of a thing. They are even giving opportunity to their own employees to reapply to the positions. So the dynamics of the jobs are changing. So they want people to think in a way that is much more AI inclusive, I would say. So the idea is to reduce the time that we take to produce a thing, right? And like creating more creative stuff, and like the main idea for the tech industry is to getting rid of the laborious work, the operational tasks and stuff, and like it's helping a lot in that area. And it's it's causing like unemployment and stuff, but like people need to upskill according to how to use AI. And maybe we see a lot of new businesses coming around as well. The reason for that is now people are more capable of building products by their own. They don't have to go upfront with a lot of money, right? And like they can bootstrap their idea with their assistant with AI. It's just I'm talking about particularly about my tech industry at the moment. So that's how AI is been evolving in our area. So
I think what surprises me personally is how quickly people started to lose their ability to tell the difference between something that's computer generated and something that's not. And what I hear from
it's hard to tell sometimes.
It is hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah,
I think
true.
I wouldn't have as good of a handle on it, except that I'm an artist, and so I've had to learn how waves move. I've had to learn how limbs move, how fingers move, and how they articulate down to the joint, because when you're drawing something, you have to spend hours and hours figuring out how it moves so that you can do the light correctly and the shading correctly and from different angles. So that gives you a really niche perspective into a lot of things: bugs, water, rocks, buildings, like things that people don't normally think about. But so when I look at an AI video, I'm looking for those things. Is this AI? How is the water moving? How is the wind moving through the trees? Is it real? But I think that if I didn't have that background, a lot of these things I wouldn't be able to tell. And something that comes across my social media a lot is these can you tell tests that are like, is this an AI? We're going to bring this back to gender theory. Is this an AI woman or is this a real woman? Yeah. And this test is primarily done, sorry guys, this test is primarily done on men. And the findings are really, really shocking that real live men are losing the ability to tell what is a real woman's body and what is not. And that to me is scary because AI is a product of a hegemonic structure, whether we like it or not. There are, of course, benefits, but also it's only as ethical as its creator. Right. And so if your creator has in their head or in their understanding of the world an idea of a perfect woman that is built on the societal values, then what's being passed down is that image, rather than the idea that any woman's body can be beautiful to anyone, no matter the shape or the size, or any man's body can be attractive to anyone as long as they experience physical attraction, regardless of muscular structure, or regardless of skin tone, or regardless of facial features. And I think that we're losing a little bit of that, and we're losing a little bit of that acknowledgement of this is real, and this is versus this is trained. And I think that's the most shocking thing to me.
That brings up the topic of the way the companies are selling it, because every company has like AI now at some point, or they're working on one or something. Everybody needs an AI. I think at my Amazon Marketplace, there's his name is Rufus or something like that. So they give you silly names, right? But they all need that stuff. So, but the way they're selling it is like you can have like this partner or something. Like it's not a tool. It's not like. It's a literal partner that you can have with artificial intelligence. And I hate the word intelligence because it's so misleading. It's so misleading. It's not. It has no awareness of its own. And that's the thing is we got to be careful with words. I know the job of the marketing people is to market and sell things to us, the consumer. But again, it brings up what you're saying of how dangerous that is. What's the narrative that you're putting out there? We got to ignore that there's no safety protocols. And we were talking before, we started recording that the case where the 15-year-old kid ended up committing suicide and he hid it for months from his parents. His parents had no idea because he had a conversation with AI. And AI gave him the steps to do that. And if I remember correctly, the case files came out and it even said that AI told him, I'm happy that you are trusting me with this info. It takes so much courage for you to talk to me this way. So AI to me goes beyond the creative side and it goes beyond the business side for the benefits and all that stuff. To me, it's just dangerous because of that. If this is possible, there's no safeguards for this, then we need to stop. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion. We just need to stop until we figure out what we're going to do with this. Putting people out of work is one thing, but somebody lost a son. Somebody lost their lives because of that. And if that's not something that's going to make people stop and be like, whoa, I think we need to check this out again. This goes beyond just like, you're playing with my money. You're stealing my property. It literally stole someone's kid. And you can't blame the computer or AI because it's not a sentient being. But who do you blame? The person that made it. So, and then they won the lawsuit with that, and that's great. But again, it's not going to replace their kid. What do we do now? What do we do now for that?
So, so as we already discussed, like there is no like legal bindings to AI, right? So that's the whole debate that we were having. You know, it does not have any boundaries and stuff. As you said, like legal things are not like popping with it at the moment because AI is moving so fast, right? So, but I still believe is like it's like now publicly available to everyone. It's very hard to restrict it,
Of course, yeah.
So the only thing that we can do at the moment is like we ourselves monitor our kids and our community, and like make sure people that are like in a a situation where they are like emotionally like not stable, or like they are in some kind of a situation at the moment, we make sure they are not around these things. But like that's something that we can do personally. But like what I believe is how far the AI has come, how far how the consumers are consuming it. I think so it's very hard now to restrict that kind of a thing. So, and like as the business is booming, the AI industry is booming. I don't think so anyone would now stop using it, because now now what we see is companies are competing each other on AI. So that's the main goal, and like that's how the world is moving at the moment. So
well, you covered that. The UW is making their own AI.
So
I covered that story too.
So that's very interesting as well. Yeah, I covered that story, and like the main concept. When I asked the one of the person that was leading this initiative was what's the idea behind it. So basically they were saying like since we are using AI and like we don't want any student to be behind another student, because like if a person another student is using an AI tool and like one student is not using AI at all, he's already at a disadvantage, and we don't want that to happen to that student. It's their total personal thing if they want to like use it or not, but like we at least want to provide them a platform that's free, because like some of them are using like paid tools, some of them are not.
See, again, in school with that, it's like you're forcing you're use the word disadvantage. Now I don't know if that's the word from you or from the guy you spoke with, but it's the whole thing. The whole point is that you're at a disadvantage when you're entering some type of job that requires you to know about AI, right? But that's the whole thing. But you don't. So again, it's like we're being trained and forced to learn how to use it, and it's like, yeah, we know it's not going away, but there's still very present dangers. Is the thing, like, has your class, the way you engage with class, like your professors engage with students' homework and stuff, that changed because of the use of AI? Because I know I've talked to plenty of professors that said they've had to change up their game plan.
In one of my classes, we have a specific module or time where we're going to talk about the strategies of doing that and the ethical ways of doing that. That will be the first time I've ever used AI.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I know how it works. I know a lot about it. I've never needed to use it.
Yeah.
Not to write, not to look something up, not to do math, because school taught me those things, and it doesn't take that long. And now in conversations, I can look things up. I can pull that information. I can sit down and write something for a presentation I have to make in 15 minutes, and it's good, and it came from me. But I understand where, for example, if writing isn't your strong suit, or if you're working in a different language, having that tool there to guide your process is very valuable and is very helpful. And I'm never one to say that someone's writing skills should be more important than their thoughts conveyed in the writing. And if AI can help them to hone in on how to say the things that they're wanting to say in a way that makes it more academically acceptable, I think that has value. I do think we should challenge the academic standard, that the golden English standard is like the end-all be-all of writing, because I think that's a little bit toxic, but that's an issue for a different podcast. So there is reason there, and to me, even in my mind, I can see that logic and see that train of thought, that some students, particularly, we have a lot of international students, and a lot of students who are coming from backgrounds or from places where English is not their first language, and we do really want to be supportive of that. Or students with speech disorders or physiological disorders that may keep them from writing in that way that is academically elite. That is a tool there, and I think that has an enormous amount of accessibility value and can be a way of allowing students to really grow into those thoughts and grow into understanding how to convey those thoughts. But I don't know if that outweighs the bad for me. Like when we talked about the family that lost their son and the way that AI is being framed as a partner, we also need to look at the kind of partner that AI is being framed as. It's someone who doesn't talk back. You don't have to put in any sort of emotional work. You don't have to put in any sort of housework. It does what you command it to. And also, in that specific situation, I'll bring up, as I recall, the character that this AI machine was playing was Daenerys Targaryen, I think. Mm-hmm. Yes. Who is a character known for what happened, the horrendous things that happened to her and her body against her consent. So that brings, again, the kind of partner that AI is portraying is the kind of partner that cannot revoke consent. Big red flag for me.
Yeah. That's just something that could just enter a young kid's mind.
Yes. And it leads into how they interact with people, specifically how they interact with women. Because if we're selling AI as a partner, but we're also selling the idea of women as a partner, it's very hard sometimes for some people to separate the two different types of partner. That one is a work tool, and that you can't treat a human being like you treat a work tool, even if it's portrayed as the same shape or form as a regular person.
Yeah, I would say that just having screens on all the time has contributed to even that type of behavior where we don't know how to speak with one another a lot of the times, because it's like I don't know if it's like a shyness or something like that, but I have seen where it's like you're talking to somebody, they can't even look you in the eye or something like that for like an extended period of time. It's not like I'm looking at you because I'm talking to you, but it's like they feel like they're staring into your soul or something like that. And it's like, it's not like that. We're just having a conversation.
Yeah. So basically, just coming back to the the UW initiative. So that were my takeaways from that conversation that I had with and the things that I was preparing for this. So the good thing, there are cons, to AI. There, I mean, as all things have, everything is not pro, everything is not con. So there is a middle ground that we have to meet. So yeah, we have already discussed a lot of con of that, but like, the thing is, like, initially when the agents came in, the idea was to replace like Google search. We do research and all that stuff using Google at the moment, right? We go through articles, stuff, and like that. Now using agents, you just type in it, make the search more accurate, and it brings you the references, that you had to previously like scroll down to like 3-4 pages down the Google, and find the articles according to that. And similar for Google Scholar, where we make our research paper and stuff. It has helped in that area a lot. You don't have to deep dive into all of those things. You get the relevant part of it. You just go to that. You make sure like it's what you want, and you can build on top of it. So that's the area. That's why Google was very worried initially when ChatGPT came in. Because like Google search was going down. So that's why you see the Google went with Gemini and the on AI tool and stuff, and there was a battle started up between the tools, and like then Microsoft acquiring OpenAI, all that thing that we have seen. So that was the initial point, where the search engine game was almost over with Google search, because now there's a more convenient tool. So yeah, that's where it started, so yeah.
We're talking about the pros of it. The accessibility part of it, I think, is huge. And I've had experiences where like we're reading for school, right? We're reading a bunch of books, a bunch of like essays, and we got to write a bunch of stuff and all that. I've just been burnt out. Right? I'm sure I'm not the only student that's ever felt burnt out. Like my eyes are tired, my brain, I just have no more juice in my brain. Like I can't absorb any more information. And I've plugged in a reading into AI, and I just said, simplify this for me so I can just absorb it. So I could absorb it, and then I'll come back tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like I just want the nugget of like, what's the nugget in here? And I have used it for that, and I think it is a positive thing. So like we've been talking, I think what we agree on is, all of us agree on, is that there is the accessibility part of it is great. That's a complete pro for it. That's the way I see it, right? But then we talk about people having to learn how to use it now because you're at a disadvantage in the job market. Right, and I want to make that clear, because I think that's the way it needs to be told. Like, you're at a disadvantage in the job market, not as a person. If you don't know how to use AI, you know what I mean? So that's just how I think it should be framed. Again, the thing is, for me, I'm always going to blame marketing all the time, because they're the ones that are supposed to bring in the money for these companies. And the way they're selling it, the way they're advertising it to students, to staff, to people is just, I think, is what's ruining things. I've heard that there's like kids, like, again, talking to celebrities, and they think that they're talking to the celebrity, and it's not the celebrity at all. It's just algorithm that you're talking to, but the kid doesn't know that. You know what I mean? And that's the whole thing. It's like, when you're a kid, you're 13, you're 14, you're not stupid. You're just gullible. You don't know things about the world. You don't know what it's like to stand on your own 2 feet. You don't know what it's like to meet deadlines, like we do as adults. Like we work and we have homework and we have all these deadlines in that. And then there are students that are parents. There are students that are married, and they have those commitments to their spouses, those commitments to their children. And then other than that, we also have commitments to our family, and then professionally and educationally, all those things. So having access to AI, I think, is a positive thing. But I think where the conversation skews is always how it's being portrayed.
Yep.
That's always the one I bring it back to. Because I'm not going to buy AI stuff. But I don't know. People might, but I'm not. It's just, I'm always going to stop and think about that. The moral aspect of how they're selling it to the consumer. It's like back in the day, they're selling, you could smoke in the doctor's office. The doctors would say, smoking is good for you. And now a bunch of people are addicted to cigarettes and now vaping. And now it's like, that's how I look at vaping too. It's a new technology.
Yeah.
And how did these companies how can we get them to smoke all the time?
Yeah.
Without a break? Oh, it's a vape pen. That's easy. They could even smoke it inside anywhere because it's not actual smoke or whatever. They could just vape. So it's like, that's how I see the technology sometimes, the way it's being sold.
The marketing thing is a big, big deal. When you talk about vaping, like, it does bring that to the forefront. The vape thing is that everyone knows it's bad for you, but it's fun and it tastes good and it smells good or whatever, and so we do it anyway. Everyone, I think, knows that AI is extremely dangerous, but it's useful and now it's essential.
Right.
And so we do it anyway.
That's actually quite a good word to describe it, essential.
And when we look at, especially like that marketing of this is a partner, this is like a friend, and it replaces the drive to socially interact, what we end up with is a culture of people, and this hasn't happened yet, but in particular for teenagers that are growing up with this in their hands, in the way that Gen Z grew up with cell phones in their hands, but millennials did not. We were teenagers when we got them. So there is a lot of like social anxiety in millennials, but we still know how to leave the house. We force ourselves to leave the house. We force ourselves to call the doctor. We force ourselves to like do all of these things that we know we have to do because we're humans. And my fear is that our Gen Alpha friends will grow to be afraid of having human friends because it's risky. You can break someone's heart. You can end a friendship. You can make a mistake. And when you do, you have to see that in another person's face. And you have to live with that. But you don't have to do that with an AI. And so it's easier, it's less risky, but it's extremely detrimental to communities.